Spirit of Watercolor with Linda, and I just was getting ready to do, and we're about to start our next video about dry brush, but I wanted to do a quick mini video just to show you something that I'm very excited about. It's I found this old painting that, you know, just seemed to get gray and muddied, and it's sort of like it's a sort of a landscape, seascape. It's got some land in the foreground, and as you can tell, my colors didn't work. It got overworked because I kept trying to pull the colors. And now, how do we go from that? How do we go from that to something like this, where it's so fresh? Same colors, same composition, I drew up the same drawing. How did I go from this to this? We're going to talk about that, okay? And we may even go into this and paint a little in there so you can see. And that's all we're going to do, okay? So first of all, I drew it up. You know, you've got your background and your middle ground and your foreground, and I did the clouds in the sky, and I was quite pleased until it just started to go very, I want to say, muddy. So a couple things happened. I didn't keep the colors fresh, but the first thing that was a problem was the paper. Okay, this is a very inexpensive artist's loft, which is okay for a sketch. This is a sketch, it's okay. I'm not, you know, saying it's wrong to have this paper, but don't use it for your final painting, okay? Okay, now this is a really nice 300-pound paper, and so I don't need to stretch it, or if I do, it's a quick stretch. It holds up much better. The paint goes on so much better and stays the way I put it, okay? Stays nice and fresh. So it gets into the paper, and it's very pleasing and fresh, and you're happy with it, so you don't keep laboring into it, is the first thing I want to say, okay? Now, I also did wet on wet in this, and what I did here was probably more wet on dry, just, you know, brushing across. And then I went from that to wetting my paper and just laying in these wets and letting them just flow. Okay, so let's go in, and we're going to add some more pink into the water to reflect from the sky. And then I'm going to decide, I do have some grasses here, which I actually did go back into this as a sketch and started to try to pull stronger values and decide which colors I want to use for those grasses. There's just some long grasses out, wisping out, that I did with pencil, and I just need to get back in there and get those nicely where they really stand out. I could either do this scoring, or I could just take a very fine brushes, which is what I'd like to do here, and just kind of bring those in where they kind of pop out and kind of give a little more perspective to the painting. Okay, so let's go. Okay, I've got my palette here. I pulled up this beautiful quinacridone magenta, which is what I believe I used, or at least I may have mixed to get this very beautiful color right here. I'm sorry that my air conditioner went off in the basement here, so we'll have to tune that sound out. So I have clouds here, which I want to reflect a little of that in the water, or the sky. I have this sort of beautiful blue, which is probably cobalt. Some of these I haven't been at in a while, but I'm finishing paintings that I've not finished. I put them away sometimes for a while if I'm not sure what I want to do. Yeah, that looks pretty close to me, to that color. And I love my quinacridone colors. I'll find out how to say that correctly, and we may do a video completely on those, using those. Maybe we'll do that with our dry brush. That might be fun. I'm still working on the dry brush video. I need to take on some more information before I go ahead. I want to find out what we can paint, the best way you can see the dry brush used in a painting, And so I'm still kind of formulating how I'm going to do that. So I was going to do that and jump into it, but sometimes I'm learning as I'm doing these videos that I need to take a little time to think things through a little more, because then you get a better product and we're more happy with the end result. And you also get, you know, the best impression of what we're trying to learn. I've just wet those white areas. I like the white in this painting, and I'm going to work harder at maintaining my whites. I love this beautiful rockiness here. And so what we're going to do now is, the first thing I'm going to do is put on my hairband so my hair stays back. Sounds like my husband just got home from a band gig. Okay, so now we're going to put in our sky. This kind of gives me some idea. I have the sky up there, and then there was some purples brought down, but it really got kind of muddy. So let's see, we're sort of reversing what's going on there and just bringing some of that in over here. Okay. Actually, I might have gotten a little dry brush there, and it might be that that's what we want to do. I'm not sure yet. If you want to wet it, go ahead. Can we see all of this here? Push it over. And try to mimic that sky a little bit. I'm not going to get fussed with that too much. I kind of like, this paper is so wonderful, and I'm pretty sure it's Fabriano cold press, 300 pound. I'll have to double check what that is. It is a heavy paper though. I don't know if it's that heavy actually. So I put in a little there to mimic that, and then over here I've got some sky up here, and I want to bring a little of that down in here. I think I want it actually to kind of go glaze over that blue a little there. Okay. And try not to get my head in, which is continuously a challenge for me. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Sometimes less is more. You know, there's that saying, and people wonder what that means. Sometimes it means, you know, you don't need to do too much to make that work. And I'm going to trust that. And the longer I get into these videos, the more I'm pro quality paper. Just adding a little extra of that color in. I think it's kind of, I want it a little bit stronger. We'll let that dry, and we'll see if we're almost done with the painting, and you can see how nice and fresh that is compared to this. I guess the other thing we want to do is bring in some of those grasses I've drawn in. They're long grasses, so yeah. And if this is kind of going too far down, I'm just going to bring her up a little. It's getting into the land a little. And you can lift it out. And if I want any up in here, I'm not sure yet. I want this to, sorry about the squeaky floor. Okay, yeah. I think we're just gonna take it a little bit at a time. I kind of want to fan this out a little more. A little more color. Sometimes you just gotta move slow. Don't do too much too fast. Okay. All right. We'll let it dry, and then we'll think what else we want. Okay, this one we're going to finish up this video, and I did put those pinks in, and I'm just right now going to stop and think about that. I still like the vibrancy of this. I added a little blue into the water here, and a little bit of blue here, I believe I added since I was videotaping, because I was just looking at this and thinking, is it finished? I guess the only thing it has left it needs is the grasses. So what I'll do is I'll put those grasses in, and then we'll talk about, you know, my final thoughts on going from the muddier painting to fresh. Okay, great. I guess I will go into this a little on film, so I wasn't sure if that was necessary, but if we take a nice small Blick brush, what number is this? I believe it's just a good old 0, it says. 0, very small, and it's a little nice sable hairs. I bought those with the sale at Blick's Art Studio. And then I'll come in on those grasses I do struggle with lining those things up real well with my vision. So what I will do is, if I don't hit those lines perfectly, I just erase them after it's dry, so I don't sweat it. I tell myself, you know, that's okay. Since there's a lot of the darks up in there, the sort of gray or blacks, I think it's maybe neutral tint again, or the other one, what do you call it? Okay, my head might go in there, but I'm gonna have to, because these grasses. Okay, one more time, guys. This is the painting, and I believe it's pretty fresh. I'm testing my green screen standing up here since my camera's in a new place. I hope you enjoyed that. I put the grasses in, we've got the pinks and the water reflecting, and this is so much fresher, isn't it, than our first one. So don't give up, even if things don't come out the way you like. I'm really, right now, realizing how much sketching, like I said, is helpful in things like this with landscapes. So you can make decisions and make mistakes and then do it again, and sometimes again, because the next video that I almost finished with on dry brush, I did have to redo this painting a few times, but I've got it now. So keep on trying with me, don't give up, just keep a positive attitude, and remember, it's, if nothing else, it's just the glorious experience of enriching our lives with color and nature and beauty, and expressing emotions, whether they be positive or sublime. So thank you, keep coming back, and let's go back to part 2. I have to finish part 2 of dry brush. It's been a bit laborious, but it's coming out good now, so I want you to see that. So go to the dry brush part 1 if you haven't, and then dry brush 2. I'll see you there. Okay, have a blessed day.